Good afternoon. Good to be back. I hope stomachs are full, hearts are happy. And as we kick off this session, I'll tell a story again because I'm known to do that. And since I'm a teacher, I believe there's no other way I can keep an audience up and running and kicking and listening to me without telling a story. So let me take you back to the World War II. And we're talking about 1942. Men were going to war and they needed nutrition. Now, how do you get nutrition or green food when you are in the middle of nowhere? Where do you grow that food? How do you ensure supply chains? What do you do? So it was a conundrum that many countries were fighting at the moment. So what did they do? They came out with a complete food plan. I'll repeat, a complete food plan. This would be an alternative to wholesome nutrition, and it would be available as a health supplement and in drinking format, so you could drink it. Now, it became so popular in 1942 that within few years, it was soon recommended as something that people who had food intake problems, they could use it, they could drink it, they did not have to consume it. Very fast, it came to India and it became popular as a drink supplement for children in India. Can anyone take a guess on what I'm talking about? Complan, yes, and the man who is also heading that company, that brand, is with me here today. Tarun, let's give him a very loud round of applause. You know, Tarun, to a lot of Complan girls and Complan boys here, a question that comes to our mind is, we used to see Complan in many places prior to a couple of years ago. When are we going to see Complan hitting all shelves in all areas, perhaps all, geographies, in how many years' time from now?
I think Complan is available pan-India. It's not just available in India, but it's available internationally as well. And it's available in more than 500,000 outlets in India. Of course, our endeavor is, since we acquired it 5 years back, to take it to the next level. We want to reach to a million number of outlets. What we've seen is actually number of consumers are going up. Actually, there was a journey, and I don't want to talk about prior to our acquisition much, but in last 3 to 5 years since we've acquired it, the number of consumers has gone up. It's a little slow because nutrition today comes from various things. Today, if you eat
it's a very
roti,
competitive market
you're thinking about how much fiber it has. You're having a chocolate spread and you're saying, okay, I have some calcium. So the meaning of nutrition has changed, but Complan is evolving itself. We're already having a separate product for toddlers. We are making it more relevant for the future and not just living in the past, that it has a great legacy. And I think we should be reaching to 1 million outlets in coming years and a much larger presence. We've just launched a new campaign.
Some of those. I'm a business reporter. I have to take something away from this conversation. Share some of those plans with us.
So sure. So to start with, we've just rolled out a new campaign this calendar year, about a month back, with Madhuri and Sneha as our brand ambassadors, where we talk about superior nutrition and the fact that how it has helped them become helped them in their years when they were mothers, and therefore how it plays a role of superior nutrition with extra protein versus others. And I think this should help us. This will be followed up with a set of new innovations that we have pipelined in this year, maybe 2 launches that we have planned in the next couple of quarters. So that's something you can take away from the innovations.
All right, Tarun. And since it's a larger conversation on FMCG market, I think there is no person who does not consume one of your FMCG product one way or the other. We're all consumers here. And I think an important sort of trajectory that we've seen emerging in the past couple of years, where supply chains seem to have become more efficient. The FMCG journey also in a way mirrors India's journey of consumption. You look back at FMCG and you can actually predict on how people are going to consume, how much money they have, what's their discretionary spending like. Talk us through what are the key trends that you've seen since COVID. Are people consuming as much as they were consuming earlier? Has there been any sort of change there?
I think there were a lot of changes, and since you talked about it over the last 2 decades, and in 2 years, things have dramatically changed. People talk about the K-shaped curve. So first of all, I think a couple of decades back when e-commerce had started coming up, and I used to believe that, look, who's going to buy online? It is a complex supply chain. The whole value chain is very difficult, being available. The price points, the ticket size is very small. You can buy 200, 300. It is not going to be viable to be able to service large set of consumers nationally through that. I think that has dramatically changed. It started changing about a decade back, I think 3 to 4 years back. The moment COVID hit and the supply chains were disrupted, everyone went into a very different mode. And the supply chain, especially led by the online commerce, has completely disrupted and gone into a super speed, where I would say just before COVID, for us, for my business, we would be about 1% of our business coming from online commerce. Today, 8%, 8 to 9% of our business comes from online commerce. So the consumers have completely changed the way they're buying, but our ability to reach consumers.
Can we therefore say that people are not just buying clothes, shoes, bags online, they're also buying essential items online?
Absolutely. And most of our products are essential items. You need a prickly heat powder, Nycil. You want your regular supply of sugar-free. You want Complan for a monthly basket. They're all available, and we are selling pretty much even a scrub for a heavy youth. There's a good demand for that.
And are you talking about traditional e-commerce platforms or quick service delivery platforms?
Both. And I think quick service is moving much faster than the rest of the platforms. Of course, the economics will come with scale, and there are other challenges also they have to overcome with the infrastructure. But it's scaling up pretty fast, I would say.
Okay, I want to indulge the audience as well. How many of you actually order your daily essential items using Blinkit or a Zepto or any other competitor? Like daily essential items, from your biscuits to your groceries. I think that tells you almost everyone. I think 90% of the audience is actually going to one of these quick service delivery apps to get orders of their essential items. Yes, you were saying.
So actually the behaviors, the consumer shopping behaviors are changing. Earlier there was very set patterns. You would buy your monthly grocery basket. There's going to be a top up and etc. etc. Now the behaviors are fairly different. There are weekly things and there are daily things. I think the enablement which these channels and online has done, the shopping behaviors has also changed, and therefore you will find
what sort of change?
And you're buying so. There's some of the things that you will prefer to buy online only. For example, if I need a 10 kg atta, earlier I would either call the nearby grocery store, but you got better deals in a modern trade store, but who's going to carry it? Today, online is making it easily available. So the whole way of where do I buy, where is the price discovery, I think there is quite a mix, and people are getting smarter and making choices as per their personal lifestyle changes.
Absolutely. Whatever suits us, perhaps. I think whatever suits the consumers, whichever platforms, whichever is quicker, faster, more convenient, everybody would like to go for that. I want to talk about the K-shaped economy because you referred to that. Now, would you believe that the K-shaped recovery from COVID has had an impact on consumption patterns in FMCG as well? Are you looking at a class divide when it comes to rural versus urban? What sort of trends are you looking at when it comes to consumption? Because, there is a lot of conversation around how demand is picking up, but it's essentially picking up in urban pockets, not so much in rural areas as much as we would like it to.
So, in my understanding, I think it's COVID, yes, but post-COVID, the inflation that happened, and I think that was the starting point, was that there were a lot of money which was put on the table by a lot of governments worldwide, a lot of direct transfers, etc., which created a huge pull, and the whole global supply chains were disrupted, which led to a substantial lack of balance globally, and the whole supply chain was disrupted, which led to substantial inflation spikes, which affected everyone globally. Now the inflation hits the lower income much more than the people who've been better off. So what's happening is, as the Indian economy is going up, you clearly find that there is the rural, who have impacted by inflation, are making choices of trading down, buying smaller packs. So while the penetration may be going up, their consumption levels are dropping, and which is impacting the rural economy. On the other side, amongst the urban places, you find there are discretionary spends which are going up. You will find certain part of the economy, which is consumer economy, discretionary, the hotels, the tourism, hospitality, that's going up. Within FMCG, you find a lot of people are able to move up. So if they were buying something, because there is money, they already have sufficient, covered up. They buy superior products. The access is also helping. So there is clearly a K-shaped situation where the premium products are obviously growing faster, but rural economy is not dropping in penetration. Consumers are consuming a lot of internet, media, etc. They are driven by similar choices, but they are probably buying at a lower price points, which is impacting your consumption, which is impacting. I think things will get better, and I'm quite hopeful.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying rich are getting richer. Urban people are buying more premium products, but poor people are people living in rural areas. Let me put it this way, I think it's better said and more acceptable. People living in rural areas are buying either at the same capacity as they were 10 years ago or perhaps lower, but definitely not going for premium products.
No, I think they are also conscious about the premium products, and therefore I would look at a little larger perspective. I think the way I would look at it is that because their incomes are already limited, they may choose to buy smaller SKUs, the lower unit price products. So they are conscious about the price points, but their choices are not driven by the fact that I need to buy cheaper, poorer products. They still want a same product. They still want their child to be educated and do well in life. So I think the drivers of choice for them are very similar to urban people. It's just that the inflation has hit them a bit harder because of the limited incomes, and therefore you find some of their choices bringing the consumption down.
All right. But you can't deny that there has been a premiumization. Today, people want to buy more expensive. They want to show more expensive. They want to eat more expensive. But at the same time, there is a section of society that simply cannot afford to do so.
So I think the COVID has made a lot of people realize, and there's a more of a I would say psychological impact of here and now, and therefore the here and now economy has shot up, where people are ready to, buy a lot more now, experience now, spend now, and not worry about the future.
Okay.
So the YOLO culture is, it's only expanded, and that's why people are just going ahead and spending a lot more today than they were probably 10 years back.
All right. So it's a function of the problems that we have seen in the past 2 years, solely by the way of COVID, perhaps not so much that suddenly people have become more richer.
Accentuated by COVID, not only by COVID.
Okay, accentuated by COVID. But I also want to talk about, coming to Zydus Wellness, and you have forayed into international markets, not just in South Asia, Southeast Asia, but also MENA region. Talk to us about your global forays. What markets are you targeting? How are you making in India and moving to other countries and supplying in those other countries? And perhaps also talk to us about how the FMCG trend line is looking like. Are we looking at more people making in India along with you, your competitors? And what sort of supply chains? How are we diversifying? Which are the regions we are talking about here?
So that's a lot of questions, but I'll try and give you a full answer on this. I think, first of all, I think if you want to play and you want to realize, and it's driven by the government, it's a call for the government where even the Prime Minister has talked about India could be the food basket for the world. And more Indian brands are going outside and exploring the world because we have a capability. I think we looked at why should we exist outside India, what can we take? And when I look at our portfolio, when I just look at, say, two of our brands, the sugar substitute, sugar-free, where we are significant player, we're not just number one in India, we are the top 5 globally, just because India market is large and our presence. Similarly, our capability, both at the cost and our ability to manufacture at a global scale is pretty good. Similarly, Complan, it's relevant to a much larger audience. So we said we need to take these products outside India and also not just be an exporter of products, but play the international business where you focus on innovations and if required, make outside also. But primary responsibility is to make in India because government is also supporting us. We have our capabilities here. So we are our approach is, we are saying, rather than going to the developed markets, which are anyway more evolved, we are focusing in Southeast Asia, Middle East, and Africa, where we find a good relevance of our products, good consumption, and most of our consumer work also shows that our products resonate with these consumers.
Absolutely. So
we've also done innovation to make it more relevant to these
All
consumers.
right. So we're not just looking at global companies coming into India, we're looking at taking India to the world. So, and let me give you a prime example of that is the digital public infrastructure. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav is here with us, and he has built an infrastructure which India is now transporting to the rest of the world. We'll hear more from him. But thank you very much, Tarun. Thank you very much for listening in.